Hey everybody, we are taking a look at some frontal cuts of pig kidneys. And pig kidneys look just like ours. They're just, actually, you know what, ours are probably just about the same size, maybe a little bit bigger. But anyways, these are pig kidneys and they've clearly been injected with something. They've been inspected with a special polymer that's filled in the spaces. The yellow was meant to fill in spaces that would normally, where urine would pass. If you look real close, red is supposed to be places for arteries and blue is supposed to be places for veins. I wouldn't rely too much or entirely on the colors because the colors can mix and we can see that, like, for example here, which one is the artery, which one is the vein, we'll figure that out in a second. Colors can mix and we can't tell what's what just based on color, so we should use other clues. All right, first, the outside of the kidney is called the capsule. Any capsulated organ is primarily, the connective tissue is primarily reticular. So it's just the very outer protective layer. There is other stuff outside of the kidney protecting it, like lots of fat and fascia. Because our kidney is not protected by any bone, it's retroperitoneal. That's why we got those love handles to protect our kidneys. So capsule. This region of the kidney where everything is leading out and you've got all these things, these vessels or ureter hanging out, this region is called the hilum. We saw something similar in the lung where you saw the blood vessels and the bronchi entering or exiting. That was also called the hilum. It's just a region where things enter and exit. So here's the hilum of the kidney. Exiting from the hilum is one of these tubes. There are other tubes where they're not exactly coming straight out here. I'll give you another example. Here you can see from here we get to this tube. We're even lucky here, this one is, we've kept the passageway here. This tube is the ureter. This is the ureter. This is what drains urine to the urinary bladder, the ureter, made of transitional epithelium and smooth muscle, among other things. So then what are these two other ones? There's two other major tubes here. These are blood vessels. Which one is which? I said that blue is supposed to be veins, red is supposed to be arteries, but the color's been mixed, so now they both look purple. So how do we figure out? If you recall, arteries have a much thicker wall and don't collapse, while veins have a thinner wall and do collapse. Look at my right hand. How much thinner and how much flimsier this is? How much thicker this is? This is the renal artery. This is the renal vein. So this is taking blood out of the kidney. This is bringing blood into the kidney for filtration. Other things we can see. Let's start looking at the basic organization of the kidney. Again, that was a hilum with all the ureter and blood vessels going in or out. Here we can see the C shape. And there's this defined line right here. And if you look even closer, you can see there's a lot of blood vessels intermixed in here and other kind of tubular, if you look at the texture of this kidney, tubular stuff on the outside. This is the cortex, the renal cortex. Cortex just means outer layer. In the renal cortex, this is where we find glomerular capillaries and Bowman's capsule. This is where we find, in terms of blood vessels, the glomerular capillaries, afferent arteriole, paratubular capillaries. As well as for the nephron, we find the Bowman's capsules or renal corpuscles, proximal convoluted tubules and distal convoluted tubules. This part of the kidney, where we see these dark triangular things and then places where there are blood vessels in between, there's a better example over here. Yeah, this is better. Triangles, pizza slices, and then blood vessels in between. That is the medulla, the renal medulla. The pyramids, the triangles are called pyramids. So this is a renal pyramid, renal pyramid, renal pyramid, renal pyramid. We've got several renal pyramids surrounding. In between the pyramids of the medulla, those are renal columns. So columns are along supporting the overarching roof, the cortex. Renal columns with blood vessels, renal pyramids, and you can see the long, long tubes of the renal pyramids. So you'd have the loops of Henle in the medulla, you'd have the collecting ducts, and then the papillary ducts. The very tip of the renal pyramid is the renal papilla. So these papillae are what are draining what becomes urine. So when we filter stuff out, it goes through the nephron, the tubes of the nephron, out the collecting duct, papillary duct, out the renal papillae into what's called the minor calyx. So this yellow stuff is a filled-in space. Here it's not filled in because the yellow stuff must have been flaked off. But let's say from a given pyramid, the first small tube is the minor calyx. And so this is filled in. This is from the pyramid, the renal papilla, to the minor calyx. Minor calyces converge and form larger passageways. Those are major calyces, major calyx. Minor calyx, major calyx. And so you've got several major calyces. Minor calyx, minor, major, and then in the center here, where we're getting to the hilum, that's the renal pelvis. Just like our own pelvis of our hips is like a bowl, this is like a bowl that collects what is becoming urine. So that's filled in. Here it's not. And then it exits out the ureter to the urinary bladder. Starting from the minor calyx, that's technically part of the urinary tract, and that's all transitional. From the minor calyx, major calyx, ureter, urinary bladder, and the beginning of the urethra, that's all transitional epithelium. The epithelium in the cortex and medulla, it varies. It's mostly simple cuboidal, but there's some simple columnar, there's some simple squamous. Like the Bowman's capsule, that's simple squamous. But mostly simple cuboidal. All right, I believe that is it. I'm going to do a once-over. Yeah, that's it, I think. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope this helps. Take care.